The U.S. is hosting dozens of different countries' top diplomats, that is, for the inaugural Critical Minerals Ministerial today. It's all part of the Trump administration's goal of diversifying global supply chains and reducing the world's reliance on China. Secretary of State Marco Rubio speaking at that event today, sharing the benefits that come from locally sourced critical minerals.
That's going to enable private sector investment towards creating reliable supply chains that are vital, as I said, to technological innovation, economic strength, and also national security.
Today's meeting comes as Congressman Pete Stauber's bill that would overturn a mining ban in the Superior National Forest passed the U.S. House last week. It now moves on to the Senate. That ban, put in place 3 years ago, aimed to block plans for copper-nickel mining there. Congressman Stauber claims the ban costs countless union jobs and forces the U.S. to be more reliant on other nations for those critical minerals, that is. However, critics, though, fear copper-nickel mining just outside of the boundary waters could pollute the wilderness area due to that runoff.